Morning, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of this week's Disruption Talks, where we invite top experts to discuss digital acceleration, winning strategies, innovation, and scaling products. Today, we're going to be hosting a very special company, a company called Nuri from Germany. They are a combination between banking and investing in cryptocurrency. And we have the pleasure today to introduce onto the call with us their senior engineering manager, Inácio Schweller.
Hey, good morning. Hey, thanks, Cher, for the intro. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Good morning, Inácio. Yeah, the pleasure's all ours. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on the call. And we're excited to kind of learn a bit more about yourself, the business, and your kind of take on the fintech and crypto industry.
Yeah, amazing.
Perfect. So maybe we can start by a small little introduction into yourself, and then we can go from there.
Okay, so where to start from? So I like to say that I'm a software engineer by heart, right? It's my trade, definitely. And I landed like recently on the engineering management part of the work. I had also my entrepreneur side also a few years ago, but I'm a software engineer. I started very early. I was around 16 years old when I started like my first lines of code. Yeah, I had like a person in family that was a big contributor to that. So it kind of helped a lot.
Okay.
So the oldest of the siblings, my brother, and he was, if I recall correctly, electrical engineering graduate. And also he like had graduated informatics and so on. And I put me into the coding world very early. Maybe not everybody will actually remember about this, but I started with ActionScript, which is like a proprietary language from a company called Macromedia, and they had a product called Flash, which eventually would turn out to be from Adobe, which not that much used for web anymore, just for animation. And at that point, I was around 16, 17 years old. I did like PHP websites with Flash and animations and so on. There's also a little bit where my artistic veins come from as well.
Yeah. Okay.
And and after that, I studied mathematics. I studied visual arts also in Brazil, and also like a little bit of a weird combination, strange, but also it kind of guided me to have this product oriented, like thinking about good solutions and so on, but also at the same time setting my ground to the analytical skill set of a mathematician, let's put it this way. And throughout the years, I worked on several industries. I worked abroad. I live in the US. I'm living here in Germany as well. Did consultancy here and there. And that's a little bit about me. Very short, very briefly.
Yeah, it's a good background actually, because you've kind of traveled across various continents. I'd be interested to delve into that a little bit more in the next kind of stages in the call. Something that interested me a little bit about your profile that you just mentioned there, you were doing some design, some development. We hear of a lot of people who kind of start as maybe as a front end engineer, but discovered a love for design and they kind of switch career paths. But you've done the opposite, right? You started in design and then you've moved into engineering. So what was it really pulled you into the engineering side, I think?
Yeah, so like I said, there is this person in family, right? My oldest brother, and I'm the youngest of four siblings. So and he was pretty much like a very on the same profile as me, like artistic also, but engineering side as well. So I actually, of course, it was a little bit of my role model as I grew up. Right. So I have to say, so I couldn't escape much from that. And that's also one of the biggest reasons why I decided to study something like more on the mathematics, engineering side, but also visual arts. Definitely, I do enjoy art a lot. And I think one of the biggest reasons why I decided to stay on engineering, because I had definitely the option to switch back from different careers, was that I have also good job opportunities in Brazil at that point of time. I worked on a big newspaper, online newspaper, and it's one of the biggest in Brazil. And then I started there as an intern. Then I grew inside the company, and even inside that position, I was programming, but also doing some artistic work here and there, like infographics, and then I could still decide, and at some point I realized, okay, wait, I'm actually really good at programming, software engineering. Maybe I should stick to that, And that was it. Actually, I was still actually studying visual arts at that point of time. Still a little bit like juggling, like, should I finish the studies or not? Should I stick to that? It was a little bit of a hard years decision, like coming and going from college, university. But at the end of the day, I think the engineering heart spoke louder, I have to say.
Okay.
And it's definitely where my passion is. I still, of course, exercise my artistic side every day. So
brilliant.
And
never let it die.
Never. I cannot get rid of my iPad, of my Procreate, always illustrating something. From all of my friends, I'm still the guy that creates like, okay, I need an invitation for my wedding or something. Still the person to go for these things for all my friends.
Let's go yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly. So I couldn't let this go of this. So, but definitely on the early years of work experience, it kind of spoke a little bit louder, and I decided to stick with it. I had good mentors also, right? They kind of guided me to that path. So it kind of makes a lot of difference at the end.
So would you say you're still kind of classified as a senior engineering manager, but you a bit of design on the side if people need it necessarily?
Yeah, absolutely. And I still do, like I mean, I do game design sometimes, I have like the side hustles that I'm like I have my own website, my own blog. I did the design myself, so I'll never let go of this, I'm pretty sure. And it is something that I find it is also a little bit of a passion. I wouldn't just like live out of it forever, definitely. And I think it's okay that you have a lot of passions. I think it's something that you can kind of nurture, right? But definitely I have like a step, like my heart beats louder for engineering, programming, these kind of challenges. I think right now also in the world that we live, they are even more exciting to do, I have to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to have so many options and so many bows, so many knots in your bow as well.
That's true.
Perfect. So you, as you mentioned earlier, you said you were born in Brazil, and then based on kind of like a little bit of research, you moved to San Francisco and then to Berlin. And I guess like my question, so San Francisco and Berlin are kind of both considered to be like the engineering capitals of their respective countries. So what was the kind of main differences that you noticed between like the working cultures in tech between those two places?
Yeah. That's a very interesting question because it's so different, it's so I spent like around 3 years in the US, and I think I can tell that if you're going to oversimplify the answer for this, is that US and Germany, they have a difference on how aggressive the work culture is, right? Aggressive in terms like you need to deliver, you need to be fast, you need to, the timing is everything, every mistake that you do, like let's say on a production website, on e-commerce, on an acquisition funnel, it costs like millions to a company. So it's very aggressive. That's definitely one of the biggest difference. As in Germany, I can see here in Berlin. Berlin, of course, is expat capital, right? But Germany in general, all the companies that I know, I have friends in different companies here in Germany as well. It's pretty much a little bit like laid back, but not in a bad way. I like to say that because people can interpret this a little bit negatively, but it's just like there is maybe perhaps because how the countries are, right? Politically speaking, or, we don't need to go in that direction, but definitely if you know a little bit how the US is and Germany is, they're definitely more, here we have more concerns with like of the worker, health. So it's definitely, it's less aggressive and less rushed, right? It also gives you more time to enjoy life outside of work. Let's put it this way. I think that's definitely one of the biggest differences I can see. I can remember my first year in the US, there was 3 months that I had to work every weekend.
Wow. Okay.
Like, yeah, that was crazy. Like we're delivering something, like on a tight deadline. And I never had to do this here. And I'm pretty sure that I won't have to do it, like knowing a little bit of the industry already. It just doesn't call for that, it's a little bit
Yeah.
more. And maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I mean, we don't need to go to that also, but it's definitely one of the biggest differences, I have to say.
Yeah. My friend. So my friend also did the reverse way around. So he was from Berlin and he moved to San Fran to work out there. And he said that what I noticed in San Fran is that everything is like evolved around the job. So even when you finish work, you go spend time with those colleagues, and then at dinner time you spend time in the cafe, and everything's kind of like around that job, and you spend very little time away from it, and they create kind of like a little ecosystem over there, which I guess is intriguing for some people because some people like to have all the stuff going on in one area of their life, and then they can compartmentalize a little bit easier. But at the same time, there's I guess like a work-life balance difference as well that you mentioned there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I have to say that I missed this a lot,
Hmm.
right? And I think there was this moment when I moved from the US back to Brazil, and I saw the big difference, like I saw the big shift because I was still working in Brazil with the mindset of American companies, of US companies,
Yeah,
and I
the
felt
Silicon
my life,
Valley.
like, exactly, like I saw like, oh my God, I'm working a lot every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm making good money, that's fine, all right. But yeah, but like there's certain things in life that kind of call you to stop a little bit and take it slow. And I could see the shift, right? Staying like 1.5, 2 years in Brazil, then moving to Germany, and how my quality of life improved a lot, right? Like that goes without saying, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so for anyone considering the decision either way, you have like a high level view from both of us there. um,
Absolutely.
so you mentioned also just before that you like I guess like the design and development stuff is also a passion project for you, and that you have your own website. Now I've got to say I went on inacio.dev. And I also played a couple of the games on there. I think Quack and Blimp were the two that are on there at the moment, and I absolutely love them. So my first question is, do you hold the high score to both those games on your website, or is anyone beating
Uh,
you?
I actually hold for Quack. That's I hold the high score. But there is a very interesting fact because those games I made completely for fun,
Hmm.
and I made by myself with one other friend. And I have this other friend that is like an amazing musician. He made the soundtrack for both games. And
Awesome.
like for Quack, I'd actually hold the high score. For Blimp, actually there was a small moment in a community, a gaming community online, that they speed run my game, and there was this guy that found like some ways to cut time in some stages.
Okay.
So this guy actually, that was really amazing because I was like, okay, that's like an achievement for me, having someone to speed run my game. And I love gaming. Like that's also one of the
Yeah.
reasons why I built some games as well. And I also like speed running games and myself. And then when I saw someone doing that, I was like, okay, that's really nice. That's really like a next level for me. And this guy actually holds the high score, like the time attack high score for the ball game, for the
For
yeah, like
Blimp.
Blimp. But for Quack is mine. I mean, it's like my favorite game. Definitely, it's one that I have some friends that say sometimes they send me a message. Look, I'm playing this game to relax now because the music is so nice, it's
Yeah.
so chill. I can just like spend some time now, with my browser, and yeah. So,
I wonder if
but
you're
the,
gonna
but
have like a server overload of people hearing this now and going to try and beat your high score on Quack.
that would be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, would you be happy if the game got picked up and someone beat your high score?
Yeah, of
Or
course. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, why
it,
not?
it can't be the baby forever, you got to
Yeah,
labor
absolutely.
it. Oh, nice. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess more seriously, like this passion for creating things via technology in terms of the gaming world. Um, did you take any influence or anything to go down that route originally? Because this is like during your time at Brazil that you started learning like game dev and
Yeah.
design, right?
I mean, definitely, Sean. I mean, I think I use my personal influences, in life,
Okay.
culturally, what I listen as a music, or I saw as like as animations, like TV shows, films, to build whatever cultural repertoire that I have in life today. And of course, that everything that I do definitely is towards that. You can see on the games that I will do, also the type of art that I'll create is connected to that. And it is definitely, I think, one of the important things that I realized a few years ago, and I shifted more to management, like building teams, building products. I had my, like my own entrepreneur moment also in Brazil that didn't went so well. But you have to at some point give your cookies away, which means that you're
Yeah.
not coding every day on your work, right? You're not doing like you're not actually doing that passion as coding, engineering, doing architecture, like getting the numbers every day as you wanted to do as an individual contributor. So you need to also find out ways to kind of express yourself, let's say
Yeah.
laterally. So I kind of call this like side hustles. And I think this passion, this is something that I developed over the years. I would say over the last 10 years. I've been creating things, hosting events, participating in the community, Brazil, US, and now here as well, So it's something that was kind of built. It's just really hard to kind of nail from precisely what actually triggered this passion to create. But I'm a creator. I like to build things. I like to build furniture. I have like a piece of furniture here, which is like woodwork that I kind of upcycled the other week. So
Nice.
I'm always doing something. Also, Berlin is amazing for that, by the way. So it's one of the
Yeah.
best places for upcycling furniture. But I'm always doing something, especially because when you do like engineering management, I think it's a job that is evolving a lot and changing a lot through the time to the last few years. So you have to adapt quickly. You have to learn new skills that
Hmm.
but you also still want to kind of express yourself for what your passion is, creating technology, doing things outside of it. And sometimes you're not going to be able to do this at work, right? So I think that's a little bit where this came from.
Yeah. I think like engineering is kind of like a large part of it is problem solving. And I think, we know that technology is never perfect, and neither is software development. There's always things that go wrong. And I guess, like, what's your take on being an engineering manager and having to face kind of like, problem solving in the team, in the development, and being able to overcome that quickly so that there's no kind of disruption in kind of like the usual flow.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be creative, I have to say,
Yeah.
Uh, one of the things that I think one of the passions that I have as an engineering manager right now is the aspect of team building and how can you get less orthodox on this side? Let's put it this way,
Hmm.
because I started on an industry on a company in Brazil. Like my first job, my first like big job as a software engineer was on a big corp in Brazil, right? Like thousands and
Okay.
thousands of employees all around the country,
Yeah.
and this classical IT setup, governance models, like very, very, very classical, like you have like our
Strict.
own bare metal servers there, nothing on
Okay.
cloud, so some time ago. And I remember from that time to now how I can express my creativity on team building and using and try to disrupt this flow of like like hiring, finding the best people, how to find the best people. Like it's super hard to find good people in Germany now, you know,
Yeah. It's
and
a crowded market, isn't it?
it's crowded, and also like this big fund coming in, also like Amazon coming in, big big players. So definitely you're actually you need to get creative, you need to offer really good things as well,
Yeah.
which is gets harder and harder, right, as new companies comes in. And then you also need to look at different, I think, different geographical aspects. Like, so for instance, you need to look at different, you need to hire remote now, right? There's no way you cannot
Yeah.
hire remote. You need to, there are a couple of things that now a little bit you need to take for granted, that you want to access the best talents, and just, and the capacity or the possibility, right, to do this as an engineering manager, for me, it's like honestly one of the best things. I can definitely exercise my creativity, try to really be disruptive there, you know, like where to find people, define these profiles, these personas, get them on board, and do this long-term planning, right, for the
Definitely.
team. I think that's one of the like one of the most brilliant aspects of the position, and it's kind of more a little bit new. It's something that has been defined on the, I mean, especially here in Berlin, we have companies that been even creating this senior engineering manager position that is coming up recently, you know, also other nice companies also going to the same direction. So I think everybody's having the same challenges, having to be disruptive also.
Yeah, and I guess this like remote work opens the kind of talent pool as well. I guess there's like a definite tip into the favor, like employees now are so in demand, especially in the engineering space, that you have to make like your company so attractive. But I read actually that, you know, that one thing about the attractiveness as an offer isn't just like the perks and the salary and stuff of the job, but actually the goal of the company. It's like what are Nuri trying to achieve, and like how is that going to impact like the, you know, the world and the economy and stuff. So yeah, I guess like my question is, what's your like main drivers for people to come and work at Nuri from an engineering perspective?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, when I joined Nuri, and company was going through a big rebrand, actually,
Hmm.
and I think not only on the rebranding side, as the company tried to kind of shift to a different direction, target groups, and so on,
Yep.
but also try to have a different mindset inside, especially the engineering and product development department, you know,
Hmm.
so which is something that is it's changed a lot throughout the last year, and I'm really proud of that. I think it was we achieved a lot on this area, and
Brilliant.
we do have like a couple of our toes on the blockchain water, not a couple, but a lot. Let's say it's
Yeah.
this way, right? And there is a big opportunity, although we don't really build precisely, like we don't have like a blockchain, we don't have a network, you know, as a product per se, but we do go in that direction. So we definitely try to get this traditional centralized finance world
Hmm.
into connecting to a decentralized world, and make it something easier, right? For something readable for the regular person that just needs a bank account. Let's put it this
Yeah.
way. So it's a very interesting engineering challenge, I have to say, because you have to understand the traditional banking world, which is still stuck in the very old ways of APIs, you know, like very traditional setups in technology. They also, banking in general has to reinvent itself as an industry a lot. So it's already a challenge when
Yeah.
you're trying to build something around that, you know, because it's usually not good infrastructure, you know, and then we need to kind of be creative. We need to actually have very good design, a technical design around the solutions, right, to be reliable and to grow sustainably, right, inside the for the customers, so we don't have like outage of things, and we are talking about people's money, so it's very critical.
Yeah.
So from this perspective, I think Nuri offers this kind of like criticality of the business, you know,
Hmm. Yeah.
when you're dealing with someone's assets, finance, it's something I think it gets to a different level of discussion. So you need to get more serious engineering. It's like, well, it's not like taking a rocket to the moon, but I like to compare a little bit, you know.
Yeah, nice. I think the like the main difficulty most people have with like entering into this kind of decentralized finance space or the DeFi space is that they have like a difficulty with like usability and understanding of like how it works. And you know, I guess UI is like a big part of that. Do you think that like given like your background, as you mentioned earlier, in design, you're like really well placed to help guide Nuri to make sure that that's like, you know, at the forefront for the customers?
Absolutely, absolutely. I do have to say that I sometimes have to hold myself. My colleagues know about this, but to doing a lot of comments, and of course, and we have a really good design department, so I don't need to be that concerned. But I think definitely we have a space actually for product engineering, and we have a lot of product engineers inside Nuri, right, which are basically software engineers but with this product perspective, so they are
Yeah.
contributing actively, right? Not only me, but like my teams as well and other teams. They really have this focus of trying to bring this product engineering to the limelight. We're having this in the industry in the last few years, the separation between product and platform engineering. It's becoming more
Hmm.
common, right? I've also like bigger startups here in Germany, they are starting to adopt this term as well. So not only us, but I think this helps a lot, right? Not only the design background, but also having experience on different startups, different companies, and absorbing this product development way of building a startup, like user first. And yeah, I think that kind of
Yeah.
helps a lot.
I think that's where like the banks have kind of gone wrong. Like the classical banks in the past is that they had such siloed divisions where like you'd have one that works on like back end development, one that works on design, like such separate functions. And not only do they have like legacy code that they need to kind of like reimagine to kind of make it the applications more attractive to their customers, but they're also having to then mesh the teams and make sure they have people with this kind of like dual mindset of like product and engineering at the same time. This is
Absolutely,
where
absolutely.
yeah, where the newer companies and I guess like what we class as the fintechs, they're kind of like, you know, there to take over really.
We have the leverage, right? And I think one thing that is important to say here, and if you look at the classical banking engine, how software engineering or how software was built on classical banking, it was really, I wouldn't say outdated, but they didn't have much tools at that point of time, right? Look at what we have now available to build a product. You can
Yeah,
be an entrepreneur and get no code solutions, and in 1 week you have your MVP out there to try
yeah,
something, right? So it's really easy now. And a lot of this, let's say, security aspects we call no functional requirements, they got really more digested and easier to build. And of course, at the best moment for fintechs, I have to say.
yeah. Poised, poised, ready
Yeah,
to go.
yeah,
um,
absolutely.
So a couple of people watching who had a few comments first before the questions. Someone put, "Wow, action script, that's old."
Oh, yeah,
There's
absolutely.
a
Oh, long
comment in the
time.
beginning. Yeah. And we have a question here from Riaz. I hope I pronounced that right. So he says, in your opinion, is it possible to get a tech job without a computer science degree?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I have to say that the computer science, well, at least in Brazil, but I think US is a little bit on this. They're trying to change a little bit, but in Brazil, it's so outdated what they teach there,
Hmm.
and a lot of they very much stuck still on the academic part of teaching, but not preparing people. And perhaps this is one of the biggest problems of studying computer science in Brazil right now, that they don't really prepare you for the market. So you need to actually get this from an internship or a working student, a contract or something, or just try to do a boot camp. Or like, I mean, honestly, right now it's one of the best moments to do boot camps, I have to say, because there are a lot of good boot camps out there, and then you can prepare yourself for maybe an internship or entry level position. And if you find, of course, a company that is, like wanting to teach you to make you grow, I mean, that's a really important aspect of your first job. As if I can give an advice, I think that's actually way better than have a CS degree. Although I have to
Hmm.
say, I don't have a CS degree myself, but of course, mathematics helps a lot on the
Yeah.
same direction. I at some point of time I decided to read books that we read on computer science by myself, because it's a knowledge that I find really amazing and fantastic, So, and I can definitely recommend. But for an entry level position, definitely not needed. I can definitely recommend go faster, try to land a job, find a company that can actually teach you, and they are really concerned about this, so they want to make you grow there, they want to invest on you. Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. So go for it if you're looking for it.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So I think one of my next questions was around like Germany and Berlin in particular. So it's like a very hotly contested market when it comes to kind of neobanks, DeFi, digital banking apps. What do you think is like that differentiates Nuri from like a couple of the other players in that market?
Yeah, we have. I think we can talk about Nuri on two different moments, right? So before the rebranding, of course, the company was had we had as a product a different approach and target group, right? So we really focus on bringing the trading aspect to the customer, right? So you can actually trade like Bitcoin, Ethereum with us, but also use your debit card, and so on. So kind of already trying to connect this. And I have to say that a lot of these companies that we're having in Germany, I mean, I don't need to name them, they made an amazing job, right? And I think they paved the way for the neobank world and fintech. And we have like a good solid ground to explore. They are pretty much focused on spendings, right? And we talk about the product strategy, they focus more on this area of spendings. As for us, specifically after the one of the things that we wanted with the rebrand is focus more on savings, right? So how can you actually create a bank account, a German bank account, and just open it and start saving right away, right? And try to also get a little bit around of some problems that we have in the world right now. Like you can see the inflation, how inflation is hitting every country in the world right now, right? Based on what's happening with the war and so on. So we definitely there is a differentiation on this aspect. We focus a lot on savings. We want our customers to create a bank account, open a bank account, and just start saving right away, right? So like focus on savings plans that we launched last year, so we can kind of currently purchase some tokens and grow your wealth over time. So that's definitely one of the biggest differences.
Nice. And of course, the card is, I really like the design of the new card.
Yeah. Yeah, that's people talk a lot about this, and it's really amazing. I don't know if you ever saw the previous card when the company was called Bitwala in the past, but
I
it's a
didn't.
huge difference. It's
Okay,
a huge,
fair
huge
enough.
difference.
I think like it makes a difference for like a small aspect of kind of guerrilla marketing, right? Because so
Absolutely.
I used to use the Monzo account, and whenever I used to pull it out in the shops and it was bright orange before people knew about it, they used to say, like, hey, like what's that bank account you've got there? And I guess it's the same for Nuri, right? If people pull that card out, I guess a couple of people be like, what's this? What's this card you've got here?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it works on two fronts. Um, yeah, so you're obviously from like Berlin in Germany, but I believe you've expanded out to other countries as well. How's that going?
Yeah, I mean, you can. We are actually focusing on. We want to focus on international expansion, definitely. Right now, we are only in Germany per se,
Hmm.
and of course you can open being from a different nationality as long as you're a resident here. You can open a bank account definitely,
Yeah.
but it's of course is something that we study and evaluate for the future. Right now, Nuri only has presence here. Like you can only open a bank account being a resident in Germany.
Hmm. Okay. But good plans to open up anyway. And the same
Yes,
goes to
absolutely.
like the same for your like crypto offering. So it's currently supporting Bitcoin and Ethereum. Is that right? Do you have plans to expand this as well?
Oh, that's a interesting question because I think perhaps people would say it would be even smart to offer more tokens, right? More coins, But from a different perspective, I think also one of the things that differentiate Nuri, right, and also the type of target group that we're trying to actually have now after the rebrand, it's people there. They don't have a lot of knowledge they are not tech savvy as before. On Bitwala, when we were called Bitwala, we are looking more on a target group of people more informed. They knew what Bitcoin and Ethereum was right away, and now we focus more on education, savings, and trying to digest this content a lot. And from this perspective, we of course curate the tokens that we want to offer on the platform. So it's also one of the reasons why for now we only offer Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? We don't want to expand majorly. It's of course not also out of the table, but we definitely going to have a different strategy there in terms of product, not offer like 100 coins at the same time, but check what does actually make sense for the customer, right? To actually that we can offer interesting savings product with it.
Yeah, I guess like if you're kind of like new to it and wanting to like spend some of your spare money, always only ever spare money, not all your money, in these kind of coins, it's a good place to start, right? You don't want to be overwhelmed with like options, and like it just increases the difficulty then, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that we try to focus, like, so you open a bank account with us, it's a really good bank account, you have the debit card, and then from there you can already have, like put your first feet in the water, in the shallow water to see how it goes, to feel, do maybe like one trade with us and see how it feels on one recurrent purchase, and then you can kind of see over time your wealth growing. So we definitely try to be a little bit and actually onboard this customer. I think that's one of the most important aspects, because there is like a learning curve there that we talked about later. You mentioned a little bit. It's very overwhelming, and you can imagine that a regular customer, they would actually try to open on a traditional broker, and they would see like several coins. They would feel like, oh my God, what do I do with my money now? Where should I put it? Where we try definitely to create a selection. So we have this, definitely try to be on the sweet spot. How can we make it easier? So we can do your first savings, try to get your first savings as much as possible.
Yeah, it reminds me of kind of like an analogy of when you go to a restaurant, and I hate restaurants where you open the menu and there's 50 to 60 different meals that you can choose from, and it always overwhelms me. I feel like I'm going to pick wrong. I like it when there's 3 starters, 3 main courses, 3 desserts, nice and simple.
That's perfect. Me too.
Yeah, okay, so people like they go on, they can like practice and try this, investing in some of these coins. You mentioned also to be able to spend the Bitcoin, the crypto, is that right?
Yeah, so inside the app, inside our offerings, you have like what you call like social wallets, right? And definitely one of the things that we are trying to evaluate for the future is like, why not create a product that you can, right, connect your debit card with your crypto, and so on. We don't have this yet, but definitely something that when you think about traditional banking, traditional payments, and then you already have the blockchain there, you have the crypto expertise in house, so definitely something that we can connect it, and you can get creative from there, right? You can think about roundups and some other kind of rules, but right now we don't have this specific offering. But that's definitely definitely, and it's like a lot of ideas that we are always brainstorming, and have a very good product chapter on this direction, always trying to and I have to say that one of the good things of not many companies doing this is that you can really get innovative, you can also get creative. And I think also when you try to deep on decentralization, there is a lot to explore, right? So I can guarantee that we're definitely exploring this. Stay tuned for the future. Definitely.
Stay tuned, everyone. Nice. I think like one thing I noticed with some kind of like big technological breakthroughs. So if we take, for example, autonomous cars, I feel like they've been ready from a tech perspective for a while, but there was always something missing. So like we lack the infrastructure and like the commitment to make the entire road, full of autonomous vehicles. And with DeFi, I see the same thing. It's like the opposite. Actually, I see we have the infrastructure and the tech in place, but we have like concerns about like the regulation and this kind of field. Do you ever see us like overcoming that in the next 5 years to be able to like to become a completely like decentralized economy, or do you think it's kind of like going to take years of like governmental discussions and things that could take a while to kind of overcome?
I think it's a tough question because it could be definitely super fast. It could take ages, and I truly believe that regulation is the path because
Hmm.
it will actually nurture adoption, right? Without the regulation, adoption won't actually be on a global scale ever. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things. And I hope it gets faster than it is right now. And I think a lot of countries, Germany is being discussed, and US, Brazil as well, we are doing a lot of good steps towards regulatory, landmarks. But it could take, I mean, it's definitely because first we had Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? And now we have DeFi, and then what comes next? So it is definitely an ecosystem that can actually grow and as fast as it is growing right now, and the regulation is not actually going faster as well. So we could kind of mismatch, could get even more convoluted and complicated, right? I can tell that
Hmm.
if you it's I think it's even a running joke on Twitter. If you open Twitter, if you try to talk about NFT, Web3 or DeFi, so many terms, decentralized apps, so many words, so many things, and then the protocols for security on tokens, and then so many new smaller things that you need to learn. So I think that's also one of the good things that we try to do in Nuri is to get all of this and like digest this content, because it's really hard if you try to do this by yourself. And I see that the adoption is driven by regulation on the side, but I see also companies not trying to do this digested content and this easiness of have a growing wealth being also a problem to offer this and as an adoption, and I think like regulation it's still very slow, still starting discussing learning the terms, so because you go to also politics. So
Yeah.
it's a very very complicated and I think one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, I mean, it feels to me like whenever something comes up with like a genuine strong business application, it gets swallowed up and becomes something that's tradable, and people are just buying and then like seeing what the market value is. So to give an example, I did an episode with Peter Grosskopf, who is working. He's one of the founders at Unstoppable Finance, who a DeFi company in Berlin, and he talked to me about NFTs and like the real world business application that could be used for them, like invoice tracking, like so using for like port of origination. And it's true, like it's such a great piece of technology that it can be used, but instead it's created for like these pieces of art that sell for ridiculous amounts of money, so people can have a monkey on their their Twitter picture. And it seems like everything that's got like a great like value behind it is being swallowed up and being presented as like, hey, look at this. You can trade on it and make money on it.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely an interesting aspect of NFT, and also actually not only NFT, but a lot of the what you find now finding DeFi, right? Of course, you have some companies trying to actually break through this, and actually
Hmm.
offer interesting business models around.
Yeah.
Uh, the, uh, but it is right now definitely the hottest topic. Like you find in every new week a new collection of NFTs being minted on chain,
Hmm.
and yeah, people making, and you are always on the news like another article like, oh my god, this person sold this NFT for 5 millions, So it is it is a very I'm not particularly against that, but I think we are still missing, where is the next step, right? When are we actually going to use this for something different?
Yeah.
I also don't want to qualify this as something bad, but I think we
Hmm.
can actually do this for a greater good. Let's put it this way, right? Or actually do good offerings like Peter exemplified, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's like, it's not that it can't be used for these things, and that I'm against it either, but it'd be great to, it can have some kind of like bilateral purposes, you know.
Absolutely.
So we'll have to see kind of how that progresses. I guess it was the same with crypto originally. You know, these currencies were designed to create this kind of you know, currency that can be used, and instead it's turned into like a trading thing as well. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know, the way of the world at the moment. I guess like you've got companies like OpenSea who just saw this like great opportunity, didn't they? And they saw that NFTs were trading, and they created that platform for people to be able to sell their stuff on. So you know, smart people, I guess, created this company too.
True.
The opportunity arises, and you got to snap it up. Okay, cool. So, like, back to Nuri again. Are there any kind of new features that you have in your pipeline or to be rolled out in the next few months? Anything you can tell us about, or is it kind of all top secret at the moment?
We have actually, a heads up, like now in the next coming weeks, if you stay tuned in the app, we have a very big launch coming in,
Okay.
and an interesting feature around savings as well. And yeah, definitely stay tuned. I cannot actually give any comment on it. We
Yeah,
are,
redacted.
yeah, a little bit. We are the public launch is going to be soon, like very, very soon. So yeah, just, kind of fine tuning, polishing, but it looks really nice. Already doing like closed beta testing, and yeah, so super, super cool. It is something that again we're gonna try to connect the traditional banking, and how we can actually go towards decentralization and make it easier, and something digested for the customer. So what I can say is like stay tuned. Apart from this big launch soon, we definitely have a huge roadmap towards the end of the year, like a lot of things coming in.
Yeah,
And
busy
that's we
2020.
are yeah, and I mean we're still startup at the end, and of course the roadmap changes a lot, right? So we reprioritize, reevaluate, check like what
Mhm.
it's actually important to do, and the focus is one of the biggest things that we have to have. But what I can actually say right now is that we have a huge launch coming in like in the coming weeks. So stay tuned on
Brilliant.
our
So,
social media and check the app as well.
okay, nice. So, if you're listening to the episode on podcast or watching it in a couple of weeks' time, then you don't have to wait. Lucky you, you can go check out this new feature.
Absolutely,
All
it's a
right.
message from the past.
Yeah, the past is for the future. We're warning you. Okay, cool. So, like, are there any kind of current trends in the fintech or the crypto space that you're kind of monitoring for potential new features, or kind of some kind of greenfield thinking, like, hey, this could be something that we could consider in the future? What's your take on the industry in that space?
Yeah, I mean, every week I have to say that there's an interesting aspect on working on a fintech company and also on a middle management position, that you get approached for by a lot of like vendors, for different like AI solutions, machine learning, or or Web3. So this comes to my inbox every week, and of course you have to reply, or you want to build a relationship there or something, but also get you started like, okay, so what could we be building, right? I think also one thing that we talked about is the flexibility of building fintech today, right? How many things that we have available, cloud computing, you don't need to have those resources offline anymore, right? On your office. So I can build a fintech from my apartment if I want, right? So that's
Yeah,
actually always on my mind, I have to say. And it is something that we monitor. We go, like, for instance, to conferences, we speak in conferences as well, right? Right now, for instance, we had Bitcoin Miami, a huge conference
yeah,
I think it's just finished. And also a lot of a lot of good things being discussed there, especially towards regulatory, like transaction monitoring, some of the aspects of crypto, and that we also have to actually be part of, right? So not only there's way more behind offering a savings product. There's like compliance, security. So all of this is something that we keep track of, and definitely we do have like user research, product research, market research going in the industry per se. I'm a huge like supporter of DeFi, I have to say, early adopter.
Yeah.
And I wrote my smart contracts in some chains already. Like I like it
Really?
a
Okay.
lot, and yeah, and I really hope that we have space to do this at Nuri as well. I think it's something that we might explore definitely, because it is like some, you can say that it is some sort of like a gray zone because people don't understand fully yet, but it's so powerful. And at the same time so risky also because there is not, you need to have a very good audit around it. So it's very you need to kind of experiment a little bit, take the risk, take the chances, and but you can actually have it's like high risk, high reward, let's put it this way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for
So
sure.
like game design a little bit.
Absolutely. How do you like? What's the plan to kind of? Because you said there's some element of training as well that you have to do for the customers who. So, say for example, someone's excited, they hear this episode, or they see Nuri elsewhere, they get excited and they download the application and sign up for the account. How do they start learning? Is it just kind of get stuck in, or do you have like training courses, or because I think that's like one of the key things to being, really open up a new customer base of
Yeah.
the understanding at the moment, should we say?
Yeah, actually, if you open a bank account and if you actually open the app, there's a small tab on the right, if I recall correctly. It's called Knowledge, and we have a
Okay.
very nice knowledge base for crypto. Right, we go from, let's say, beginner content to even advanced content, so you can actually choose how far you go. And we have this available on the app. We have available also on our website, Nuri.com. There's like a blog there. We post constantly. You can follow us on our social media. We're always talking about this. Like I said, education is really important for us because we are creating the content, we are digesting. We're trying to make it easier and to also nurture adoption of blockchain or and DeFi. So we really need to invest on this. We actually we launched this educational content on the app around December or early January, sorry. And but we already had this huge knowledge base on the website, Nuri.com. So you can, if you go there, there's a link called Learn, and then you can easily find a huge knowledge base. Yeah, and you can also reach us via Twitter. Have a really good social media. We reply as fast as we can. And yeah, also hit me on Twitter, also there,
Yeah.
and happy
What's
to answer
your
your
handle?
questions. Yeah, it's actually. Oh my God, where is my handle? I don't remember now. I don't. When something kind of goes a little bit transparent when you're
Yeah.
going to give the answer, but it just find me by Inácio Schweller. So I guess it's the only one on Twitter, to be honest.
Yeah.
Very-
I can
I
have a
really don't
little.
remember.
It
It's
looks like it's
just
just at Inacio.
yes, yes, yes.
Inacho
Yes.
with an
Inacho with
underscore
an
afterwards.
underscore at the end, yeah, which is my
Yeah.
regular handle for social medias, Telegram, Instagram as well, Telegram, and so on.
Nice.
So yeah, just hit me there. Happy to answer questions. I'm also very active there, and we call Nuri as a company is also, it's also part of building this community. It's important that we are very active as well.
Yeah, I think like actually I see a lot of um, a lot of movement online from all the kind of senior people within Nuri. So like yourself, like Christian, and Christina, who's your CEO and Chief Product
Yep.
Officer, right? So she's always in kind of like LinkedIn news and different articles I'm reading. So is there a conscientious push from Nuri to like get all the senior people out there so people could learn more about the company and the platform?
I think, yeah, I mean, it is really important as we, of course, as a startup, we definitely need to have this, kind of um, public appearance. I think it's really nice. I think it's really something that kind of also builds the face of the company out there, right? So when you talk about Nuri, then you think about the people that have been talking about it on the conferences or giving interviews like this, for instance. It is definitely something that I wouldn't say that we kind of try to push that. Specifically myself, I have to say that I was always part of communities in Brazil, US, and I'm loved that I can also do this here as well. and I would always do this, and I mean, I work for something that I really believe on DeFi, blockchain, and I want to speak about this. I want to kind of push people to go to that. I think the regular world of savings, it's really broken and we need to fix it somehow, right? We're trying to do this at Nuri. So I think going out there, I think it's a really good way, right? Not only to bring customers, which is of course really important for us, but also to make sure that we can educate people, right, in somehow, or make the content easier, and then say like, look, we're just humans. We know about this, and we're offering this, not only us but also other companies as well.
Yeah, there's actually we're doing next week our disruption forum in New York, which is super exciting. We've not done it for 3 years due to the obvious reasons, but we also used to do them in Berlin as well. So maybe we can count you in for like a speaking role at Disruption Forum Berlin in the future whenever we host it there.
It will be my pleasure. I mean, I was always a speaker for different events, all like US. That's my dog here. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, and yeah, I love it. I would definitely love to do it.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, before we kind of wrap up, we've got a question from it doesn't say the name actually, it's just LinkedIn user. But it says, Inácio, welcome to Disruption Talks. Quick question, are you planning to integrate payments to your platform using Bitcoin as payment rails like Strike, or is that already implemented? Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the questions and thanks for welcoming to Disruption Talks. Right now, we don't have like anything on the roadmap to do this precisely, like on the next quarters or so. It is, of course, something that is, like we talk about trends, right? It's something that it's coming up a lot. Might be something that we explore. Like I said, also in the beginning, a lot of amazing companies, they already focus a lot on spendings and so on, where we try to shift more to savings. So from the product perspective as well, this is not our, definitely not like the savings priority, but we can also, I mean, that's also can come up from the customer perspective, right? Something can come up like during a user research, and if it's a feature that makes sense, we will definitely do it, of course.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you for the question, Mr. LinkedIn user. Okay, perfect. So, I mean, with the dog walking around in the background, what I'll say is, I know that our podcast listeners will be so jealous right now because they don't get to witness this.
They're I mean, it's morning time. She's waking up, roaming around and sniffing the house, see if everything's in order.
This is life from working from home. The other day, my son was like, my wife was out and I had my son kind of next to me doing this call, and he kept yanking my earphones out my ear on the call. But yeah, it's the way it is working from home now.
That's true.
Perfect. Okay, I really want to say thank you for coming on. It's been amazing. We always close with one kind of special question, which is essentially for any future tech people or business people, and we ask, if you had a magic wand and you could kind of cast a spell that allowed you to provide education on a specific topic to all 12-year-olds in the world, what would it be, and what would you want them to learn?
That's interesting because, well, so education, I think education is the path, for everything. So to a certain extent, it doesn't really matter the topic. Education, I think if every child in the world could actually have access to education, it would be already outstanding. I think I need to talk about my passions about mathematics. I love it. So I think definitely around analytical thinking, mathematics, but also human topics. I think they're really, really important. I think this world that we live today, it needs love a lot, right? People need to be kind. We need candor. And I think if I would choose something, it's definitely I would educate people about love, relationships, and so we can have like healthy humans growing, and mathematics you can teach them later. It's not also that hard. I have to say.
Yeah, I guess like education comes after, almost after you done your studying as well. You know, when you're learning to drive a car, you learn how to drive the car during your practice weeks, and then once you've passed your test, I think that's when you really learn how to drive properly.
Absolutely,
You know,
absolutely. Well, I can say that for Berlin on driving cars. That's true.
yeah, is it crazy roads there? Is
Yeah,
it?
definitely,
Oh,
definitely crazy.
brilliant. Okay, fantastic. I really appreciate that insight at the end as well. And I want to say thank you on behalf of everyone at Netguru for joining us on Disruption Talks. It's been wonderful to have you. Have you got any last remarks before we end the show?
Not really. I mean, if you're looking for a very reliable bank account and a very good savings product, please don't hesitate to open like an account with Nuri. And yeah, we're also hiring, so check our positions on nuri.com. And thanks for
Brilliant.
having me, Sean. Thanks, NetGuru. It was really nice. I loved it.
No problem. We'll make sure to leave the links for the applications in the comments. All right.
Amazing.
Thank you everyone for listening and watching, and see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.